Did you hear that? Goodness gracious me. Hello, I... This is madness.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Starkside. While you're here, please support the channel by hitting the like button, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe as well as the notification bell. So hello again guys, I just want to apologize quickly for not posting content lately. I got wrapped up in some other stuff, but I will try to post more content more often. And today we'll be talking about the Marvel Legends Infinity Saga Iron Man 3's Iron Man Mark 21. So this figure here comes with the Happy Hogan as a 2-pack in the Infinity Saga wave, but I got mine here loose as I am very much a huge fan of the Iron Man armors more than any other character. And before we talk about the figure itself, let's go over the accessories. So this figure here comes with 2 pairs of interchangeable hands, so we have 1 pair of fisted hands and 1 pair of open repulsor hands. And we also get this 1 pair of repulsor blast effects. And I think these fisted hands look good. I like the sculpt here, and we've actually seen these hands before. So these are the same hands that came with the first 10 years Iron Man Mark 7 here. And looking closely at these hands, so there is a bit of marbling. I do wish they used a more glossy kind of paint, but yeah, the paint apps do look good for the most part. And I also wish that they painted the repulsor here either white or light blue to be more film accurate. Same goes for the open repulsor hands, so these do look nice. And like with the fisted hands, these are also the same hands that came with the Mark 7. And actually the entire piece here is the Mark 7 figure, just painted gold. And looking at the repulsor blast effects here, we've seen these many times before with almost every Iron Man figure. But regardless, these do look great. Nice translucent blue plastic, looks awesome. And porting them in is very easy, like so. So just a quick bio on this particular armor. So this armor is the Iron Man Armor Mark 21, and it's code-named Midas. Why Midas? So in Greek mythology, King Midas is known for his ability to turn everything he touched into gold. Hence this armor's gold color scheme. And if you remember from Iron Man 1, the Mark III armor was actually initially all gold, which I think is a reference to Iron Man's early gold color scheme here in the comics. And I'm actually really happy that they decided to use that color scheme again here on this new armor. And taking a closer look at the figure itself, so starting with the head sculpt, so this is the same head sculpt from the Mark 7 figure. And I think this helmet looks good, though I do have some issues with it. For instance, the gold paint apps here on his faceplate, while everything else about the helmet has a touch of glossy gold to make it look and feel more metallic, the faceplate itself looks a bit flat. I mean, comparing it with the gold of the Mark 7 helmet here, this one feels a bit more metallic and looks even more realistic. So I think a shinier or glossier kind of gold will make the figure look even better. My next issue with the helmet here is the facial slit. Comparing it with the helmets of other Iron Man figures, so there's a bit of black in these other figures, and it makes the figure look more armor than a toy, you know? So I think if it was painted black, it would have looked even better. And maybe my last gripe with it is the eyes. I don't know if Hasbro's doing it on purpose, but they either paint the eyes light blue or they just leave it just white. The Mark 7 here has light blue eyes. Some of the other Iron Man figures have only white, while some also have the light blue color. So personally for me, they should just paint it light blue from now on, you know. Other than that, the rest of the helmet looks good. Nice sculpted details and all. The rest of the figure looks awesome. Like with the accessories and the helmet, this is just the same figure we got before, just painted gold. And while the gold paint apps look good for the most part, comparing it with this image of the Mark 21 armor, you will notice there's some inaccuracies when it comes to the actual color scheme. For example, some sections should have darker gold paint apps. So for instance, the shoulder pads The biceps and the abdomen area here should have darker gold, and it's not that obvious on this figure. I mean, it may be difficult to do that on a figure, but yeah. Personally, for me though, any differently colored Iron Man armor is still a good thing to have, even though sometimes it's not film accurate. Another thing I want to point out here is the color of the arc reactor. So like with the eyes, Hasbro tends to either paint the arc reactor either white or light blue. One thing's for sure is they rarely paint both the eyes and the arc reactor the same color, which I find really frustrating. But moving on, the legs on this figure look great. I like that they kept the gunmetal gray paint apps on the hinges here. It makes it part of the armor design. And one thing that I want to share here is the feet placement on this figure is incorrect. I had the same issue here with the Mark 7, and more recently I just noticed on the Gamer Reverse Miles Morales figure, which had the same leg pieces for both the right and the left. It is a good thing though that it's not that noticeable from most angles. That is, until you look at it directly. But despite all the issues that I just mentioned, there is a lot to like about this figure. For instance, at the back of this figure, we still get the flaps that we get from the Mark 7 before. So I think these look great. You can move them around, but you gotta be careful if you don't wanna accidentally pop them off or break it, you know. Anyway, despite the several issues that I have with this figure, I think the paint apps and sculpt of this figure look good. I mean, they don't look bad. Now let's go over the articulation for this figure. So since this is just the same as the Mark 7 figure, the articulation is also the same. So Iron Man can look up only that far and not so much downwards. His head does rotate. No forward backward shifting motion there. And just a little bit of neck pivot, I think. His arms move upward that far at the 90-degree mark, so that looks great. But he can't bend them down all the way, which I don't think is that much of an issue. His shoulders do rotate 360, but you gotta be careful to avoid warping the shoulder pad here. He's got a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. His wrists do rotate, and while the open repulsor hand does not have hinges, the fisted hands here can hinge up and down. He's got a diaphragm pivot that allows him to move sideways, bend forward, backwards, and rotate side to side. His legs kick forward only that far, but if you notice, the plastic around here is a bit soft, so you can move the leg a bit further up. Anyway, the legs move backwards quite a bit. His hips can move outward that far, so I do think that looks great. He's got a thigh swivel, double jointed knees. His ankles move up and down, can rotate side to side, and it also has ankle pivot. Now for some figure comparisons, here's the Mark 21 armor next to the Mark 3, Mark 7, Blue Steel, Star Boost, and Mark 85 armor. The Blue Steel armor and Star Boost armor here are actually Gamerverse figures, but they look similar to the MCU versions of those armors, so yeah, that's why I chose to name them as such. So that's my review of the Iron Man armor Mark 21. So I think this figure has decent accessories, great sculpt, decent paint apps, good articulation, and since I am a very big fan of any Iron Man figure, I love this figure. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this figure. Let me know what you think of my review. Please leave a comment below. And if you like this video, hit that like button. And if you still haven't, hit that subscribe as well as the notification bell. You can also follow me on social media. Links in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.